Ah, the math battle. How do you get over that one? Hey, I'm Molly Christensen, and today we're going to answer a question from a frustrated mother. She says, I need help. I have a child who is struggling big time with math. We currently use a certain curriculum, and he's nearing the end of Math 5, and there is zero retention happening, and we are both frustrated. I'm open to any ideas. What are your favorite math curriculums? Any tips for retention? Maybe he needs something that teaches math a different way. I have no idea. Thanks for your help. So, this is not uncommon in the world of math, in the homeschool world, right? But, and not just the homeschool world too, but just in public school as well. But this is why. First, we have these Common Core standards. They were redone to give kids a lot more practice with math. I think they did this because they were figuring, well, if we start with these concepts earlier, then they can practice a lot more. There's a lot more repetition going on. The problem is if their brains are not ready for these more abstract concepts, it's just going to make them a lot more frustrated. And so the thing is, a lot of homeschool curriculum follow these standards as well. So the next reason why is that grade leveled curriculum just keeps on moving ahead, even if your child does not. And I think grade leveled curriculum is really quite a recipe for math frustration because the math skills build on the previous learning. And if you didn't really get it the first time, and you come to it again, but at a harder level, it's going to be frustrating. And that brings me to the third point. If you feel frustrated, this talking about anybody, not just the mom, but the kid, what happens is your brain literally shuts down and it cannot learn. This is an actual physiological reaction. When your brain is stressed out, when it's frustrated, your brain is all flooded with this emotion and it just closes down the learning centers of your brain. So we can see that doesn't work too well. So what can you do? Well, number one, when frustration occurs, you got to stop pushing. It's just not going to happen. The child's got to cool down. Mom probably does too. But yeah, it's just not going to work. No learning is happening. Number two, ditch the grade levels. Now, curriculum is a tool. It should not be your master. And as a homeschool parent, what happens is we often worry about going at the same pace as the curriculum. If we're not on board with the curriculum and in the place where we think we should be, then we start to worry. But what if the pace of the curriculum doesn't match the pace of your kid? Well, that's a great thing about homeschooling. You don't actually have to follow that curriculum as it is written, right? You don't have to go with the same grade level. So number three would be, let's focus on making math more fun and enjoyable so that the emotions don't come in, shut down brains, right? You can, and I mean the negative emotions, right? We want the good ones. Anyway, you can definitely play games to make the math skills learning more fun, right? But more importantly, you've got to go at their level. And what is their level? Well, their level is where they are understanding the math, but then it's just pushing them slightly out of their comfort zone, slightly out of where they are so they can keep moving forward. So I suggest backing up in the curriculum until you're at the point where they understand it, they're feeling pretty good about it, they're comfortable with it, and then just move forward from there. But this can sometimes feel a little bit scary because you're like, wait, that means my kid is behind. Well, what really happened is when you're going through the curriculum, if they run into something they don't know, it's like they hit into a wall. They ran into a wall. And this is like a big frustrating wall where they're not understanding it. They don't know what to do. So in this case, I got three more things for you. You got three choices, okay? Number one is sometimes you can actually help them get around the wall, understand the math, and keep moving forward. And that's great, but that doesn't always work, right? And that's when you start feeling like you're banging your head against the wall, right? Sometimes they're just not getting it because they're not spending enough time with math. They're avoiding it, right? So really, if the child is willing to spend time and they're ready, then you can get through the wall, around the wall, and keep moving forward, right? Now, the next choice is, well, what if they are spending time with the math and they're still not getting it and it's frustrating? Well, you can keep making them ram into that wall because you think you have to make them get that and you have to get through the curriculum by the end of the year because you don't want them behind. But you're all going to feel miserable, right? It hurts and they're not getting it. And they're going to start making up all these stories in their heads about how bad they are at math. So you're all spending time feeling frustrated and not making any progress. So the third choice is this. If getting around the wall is not working and we see that we're just banging our head against the wall, and that's really what we usually do, is try to push them through and make them do it, but that truly doesn't work. Okay. And that does take a lot of time. So option number 3 is where you either take a break. It just kind of depends on the level of frustration of the kid. Or back up to where the math used to be more fun, where they understood it and they could do it, right? Because the math is simpler, they're going to enjoy it more. And the repetition is only going to help with retention. Okay, but still, won't my child be behind if I do that? Well, it depends on your perspective. Because at first it might seem like it, but what you're doing is you're building a good foundation for math. And it's not only just for understanding the concepts, but more importantly is you're trying to change the feeling that they have around math. Because if they feel like they can do it, it's going to be way easier than continually ramming into the wall and pushing, right? When you back up, it's kind of like taking this running start and you have enough momentum that you get right through the wall. No problem when you return there and get back to that. Now, I've tried this with many of my kids and it really does work, okay? When you feel like you can do something, when you feel like you understand, when you feel like it might actually be enjoyable, you can learn so fast. It's crazy. Now, if you do this with your kids, though, back them way up, you kind of have to explain that's what you're doing, okay? So they don't start comparing themselves and thinking that they're really dumb. Just say, no, this is really cool. It's like we're pulling the rubber band back, so it will slingshot you ahead. And they can catch up easily in later years because there is a ton of repetition, but that's because the kids aren't getting it because they got lost and then they think they can never catch up, right? And so there is a lot of mindset going on with math learning here, or at least I wish there was more, where we have to understand it's not just learning about the skills, but it's also teaching them how to push through the hard things, but also how to just not give up and believe in themselves so they can keep moving forward. So just a quick example, when my son was in 4th grade, he actually hadn't really done a whole lot of math because he was a little ornery that way, but that's okay. I just got a set of books that didn't have grade level on it, written on it, and I just had him start in 1st grade math. He literally covered 5 years of math that year. It's crazy. Another kid was able to do 3 years of high school math in just 2 because all of a sudden it just clicked. Oh, I can do this. And she moved forward fast. So after trying, you can switch curriculum, you can try different things, and some may work a little better than others. But I think the core foundation here is focusing more on the mindset for helping them enjoy it and think that they can do it, and learning, having the understanding rather than focusing on the grade level. So hope that helps.